Good afternoon. Can you please get seated and introduce the card into your microphone? We are about to start. Okay, so we have quorum. I would like to start this afternoon's work. Please get seated. So as a first thing, I would like to give the floor to the Secretariat for some housekeeping announcements.
Thank you, Chair. Just a very short announcement. You will have heard earlier that there was a photograph taken here after the session of Committee 1 this morning for all of the Baeza master's students and teachers, but unfortunately Committee 2 was still had not finished, so not everybody was here. So there is another opportunity to have a photograph tomorrow on the platform outside of Committee 1 just behind us here at 1:45, so 13:45, before the two committees start their afternoon sessions. So everyone be ready for that. Thank you.
So thank you very much. As I said earlier this morning, we will have to look, I want to look first at some summary records. So the first 4 ones are ready to be agreed here. So I would like you to turn to document CoP20, COM1, Rec 1, and see if you have anything you want to have amended. So it's now the possibility to do so. United States, you have the floor.
Mr. Chair, there are 2 amendments or 2 additions that we wanted to add. The first was to number 83 songbirds. And in the paragraph at the beginning where it says India, Malaysia, Nigeria, and the United States of America supported the deletion of the decisions as the work mandate under them had been completed. We would like to add after where it says completed, the United States also suggested adding that the Conference of the Parties note the recommendations from the technical workshop contained in annex to the document. And I can repeat that if needed.
Yes, please do so.
The United States also suggested adding that the Conference of the Parties note the recommendations from the technical workshop contained in the annex to the document.
Thank you. I think we got that.
Okay, thank you. And then the second revision, or addition, I should say, is to 101. And on the page 6, at the very top, it says Bahrain and Mexico did not support. And basically at the end of that line, oh, I see, sorry, there's the line, the United States of America concurred. Do you see where I'm referring to? Okay, great. Right behind that, I would like to add the following. The United States recommended providing procedural clarity to support informed discussion of future species proposal for fungi, instead of advancing the proposed decisions, period. The U.S. encouraged parties to continue to work on this issue and submit input to the Animals and Plants Committee, which can consider such matters during the intersessional without requiring a formal discussion, period. And that's it, and I will repeat it if you need so.
Yes, always.
Okay. So again, right behind United States of America concurred, period, you would add, the United States recommended providing procedural clarity to support informed discussion of future species proposals for fungi, instead of advancing the proposed discussion, period. The United States encouraged parties to continue to work on this issue and submitted input to the Animals and Plants Committee, which can consider such matters during the intersessional without requiring a formal discussion. Thank you.
United States, I think that there was something not quite clear because you mentioned once decisions and once discussion. So the U.S. recommended providing procedural clarity to support informed discussion of future species proposal for fungi instead of advancing the proposed decisions. I think that's what you wanted to have in it, right?
Yes, that's correct. Decisions,
okay,
not
good.
Discussions.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody else? I have China. And please indicate clearly on what page you are so that I am able to follow. Otherwise, I'm trying to find the paragraph
Got it.
Yeah.
So thank you, Chair. In relation to regarding the page 5 of the Rec 1 for Committee 1, it still belongs to the item 101. We propose to add the word we propose adding into the summary record. So the exact word we propose shall, to be written in that paragraph. Thank you, Chair.
China, can you be more precise? I don't know where exactly in the paragraph you want to add what. Can you please be more precise?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's the 1, 2, 3, the third paragraph, which means in relation to China's proposed amendment to draft the decision 20.cc paragraph B, we propose to add what the words we were proposed to the amendment, to that paragraph be written down in that summary record. Sorry.
Okay, so China, if I understand correctly, you want your proposed amendment to be written into that document.
Sorry? Is that still written? No, we are checking. So we will come back to you later, Chair. Sorry.
Okay. So while waiting for China to reflect on this, I will put this document aside. We cannot close it now until we haven't heard from China what their proposed addition is. So for the moment, we leave it there and we go to the next document, which is CoP20, COM1, Rec 2. So if you have any amendments, additions to this COM1 Rec 2, please take the floor now. European Union, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. It's a comment on document 102. It's between page 4 and 5. It's the third paragraph, starting with Argentina, Brazil, Comoros, the European Union and its member states. Can you see it? I continue.
Yes, go ahead.
All those did not support the draft decisions, variously arguing that the look-alike criterion reduces the implementation burden on enforcement officials by reducing the need for specialized taxonomic knowledge, and here comes what we want to see recorded, because we said that. Another argument why we believed it's not necessary to have that is, now I read it out, that resolution conf 9.24 ref COP17 would give sufficient guidance to this matter, and then the rest would continue as is. Thank you, Chair.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yes. Do you know where we wanted to insert it?
Yes.
Okay, so the insertion would be that resolution conf 9.24 ref COP17 would give sufficient guidance to this matter.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else on COM1 Rec 2? If not, then Committee 1 agrees on COM1 Rec 2 as amended by the European Union. So we would move now to COP20 COM1 Rec 3. I open the floor for any comments, additions. Canada, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. So, apologies, navigated away. For item 114 on page 4, in the third paragraph, it's indicated that Canada opposed this proposal, which we did not state. However, we did state that we supported the in-session working group, so we request that Canada is struck from that paragraph. Thank you.
Thank you, Canada. Will be done. Anybody else on COP20 COM1 Rec 3? So we agree on this document as well. Thank you. Salute. Now we turn our attention to document COP20 COM1 Rec 4. I open the floor for any comments. I see Canada, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. This may be a procedural question. Item 97 establishes a working group. Several members were added to the working group after the point of establishment, and I was wondering if we would add these into this decision or if that was announced in a separate session and will be added to a separate summary record.
As I announced it today, it will be in the summary record of today. United States.
Thank you, Chair. On the same page, front page 1 of Rec 4, second paragraph, it may be a semantics. It says Brazil expressed its desire to set up an in-session working group. We thought request might be more appropriate than set up. Does that make sense? I'm sorry. Second paragraph under 97, page 1.
You're right. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And I do have 2 more edits, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you. On the next page, under agenda item 114, the third paragraph is a little confusing because the fact that Oman is a range state is separated by a bunch of countries. So we would just like to suggest for clarity that it say Oman, comma, a range state supported by Bahrain, the Central African Republic, etc., indicated that the populations are locally abundant. So just to move the words a range state to be behind Oman, so it's clear that that's the only other range state that hadn't been mentioned.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Lastly, page 3, the fourth full paragraph down, fifth, sorry, that starts with seeing no consensus. I'm sorry, back up, it is the fourth. My notes were written in the wrong location. The European Union and its member states, I would like to add after it says, and the United States opposed the proposal, comma, the latter. I would like to insert the following language, noting that the downlisting is not scientifically justified and drawing attention And that would continue with the information that's there, drawing attention to the ongoing periodic review. I can repeat that.
Okay, we got that, yes?
That's it, thank you.
Anybody else on COM1 Rec 4? Thank you. So we agree on COP20 COM1 Rec 4. Now coming back to COP20 COM1 Rec 4, I would like to ask China if they can make their intervention now.
Thank you, Chair. I apologize. But after carefully reviewing the documents we have, and we could not find our previous proposed revisions, could the Secretary please point me out where that text, point out to us for that, the exact sentence we propose, the clause we propose.
Let us go through our documents and we will come back. Okay, I think we will have to look at this a bit more in detail, and we will bring the document back probably tomorrow morning to be sure we have the right wording in it, so that we can find that addition that China wanted to make. So we will come back with this document tomorrow morning. Okay, now I would like you to turn your attention to COP20 COM1. This is the result of the drafting group in relation to document COP. Let me see. COP20 101 on fungi. So I would like to ask, I think it is Mexico, to introduce the document. So, Mexico, you have the floor.
Gracias, señor presidente. Pues el grupo de redacción que estableció sesionó en 2 ocasiones. Agradezco mucho a los colegas que participaron, fue una reunión muy productiva. Y nos concentramos en atender el mandato que nos dio para encontrar una solución al párrafo B de la decisión 20CC. Entonces, si le parece, voy a leer el acuerdo al que llegamos. La decisión 20CC dirigida al Comité Permanente, en el párrafo B, dice: examine las disposiciones CITES en vigor para determinar si se necesitan aclaraciones o enmiendas adicionales para abordar las cuestiones relacionadas con los hongos. Y este párrafo sustituiría al anterior. Gracias.
Thank you very much. So we now have to accept these decisions as they are outlined in COM11 as the result of our deliberations on document 101 on fungi. I see UK, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. The UK would firstly like to thank the members of the drafting group for their collaboration. The outcomes of these discussions are accurately captured in ComDoc 1 of Committee 1. We would like to note that there were also edits sought to decision 20DD, but as this was outside the mandate of the drafting group, we would like to propose this text now as a compromise the group is content with. The amendments to 20DD are to delete the reference to paragraph B of decision 20BB, which no longer exists, to also delete the reference to COP21, and to include the following after 20BB, and standing committee under decision 20CC, paragraph C. I will now read the full compromise text as follows, and I'll do it slowly. 20DD, parties are encouraged to consider the advice of the Animals and Plants Committees under Decision 20BB and the Standing Committee under Decision 20CC, paragraph C, when considering potential proposals to include species of fungi in the CITES appendices. Would you like me to repeat that, Chair?
Yes, once more, please.
20DD. Parties are encouraged to consider the advice of the Animals and Plants Committees under Decision 20BB and the Standing Committee under Decision 20CC, paragraph C, when considering potential proposals to include species of fungi in the CITES appendices.
Thank you, UK, for this, I think, clarifying addition and change. I now open the floor to China.
Thank you, Chair. And China thanks the parties for their cooperative effort, and we were able to reach a conclusion building on the Bahrain's draft and also the Mexico and the UK's contribution. Just to make a small, correct is for the proposed revision to the 20DD. It should be the, the decision 20CC, paragraph B. No. So, which means the proposed revision to the 20DD were read as parties are encouraged to consider the advice of the Animals and Plants Committee under Decision 20BB and Standing Committee under Decision 20CC, paragraph B, which that's the review the existing CITES provision. So it's not the paragraph C. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, China. I think that this is correct. So it makes this way it makes more sense. Now I have the nomenclature specialist. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the in-session working group. We would like to see a slight change to decision 20AA, small a, where it says identifying relevant resolutions, and we would prefer to strike the next 6 words to the standing committee that day, strike those words, and then replace those with that the committees, so that the entire phrase would read identifying relevant resolutions that the committees might wish to consider in the implementation of Decision 20BB and so on. The effect would be that the relevant decisions selected by the Secretariat will be transmitted to the animals, the plants, and the Standing Committee. Thank you, Chair.
Well, sorry about that. I had a knot in my head somewhere. I was just wanting to make sure that everyone gets to do what they should be doing in this thing. So we have heard the additions from China, we have heard additions from UK, and nomenclature specialist, and I don't know. And the United States, I think. I see now the United States have taken the floor.
I'm sorry, Chair, I was waiting for you to resolve whatever you were doing. I do have two comments, sorry. Apologies. First of all, in 20 CC paragraph B, we think the word provisions should say resolutions. So review the existing CITES resolutions to explore. That was directed to the Standing Committee.
You know, I think it's more than resolutions. It can also be other things. That's why it was provisions.
Okay. The only other comment I'd like to make is that if the Plants Committee reviews the technical resolutions, they don't need to send them to the Standing Committee for advice. And so if we're talking about trying to reduce the number of agenda items on the Standing Committee, a great way to start is to allow the Animals and Plants Committee to make recommendations directly to the Conference of the Parties, which they are capable of doing. So I would say that we might strike paragraph A, because the animals, and we might need to add a direction under the previous one directed to the Animals and Plants Committee to report further to the COP. Thank you.
Well, you know, from my experience, we often have looked at issues that were directed to the Annals and Plans Committee, and when we saw things that were in the mandate of the Standing Committee, we already flagged that to the Standing Committee, so to help them already in advance to see where we would see implementation issues. So we have then transferred that always to the Standing Committee, and this would allow us to do so, and the Standing Committee to review this. So. UK, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. We would just like to say that we agree with your summary and would like to retain decision 20.cc(a) for the reasons that you outlined. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Yeah. So in relation to document COP101 on fungi, the committee agrees on the decisions contained in COP20 COM11 with the amendments made by the UK, China, and the nomenclature specialist. Okay, thank you very much. So we are done with this. Okay, and now we can go back to sharks. To the resolution to document 88.1 on sharks and rays. And this morning we had been discussing the amendments, proposed amendments to the resolution. And in relation to the Annex 3 to Resolution Conf 18.7 contained in Annex 1 to the document, we had this question of Annex 3 that we were dealing with. Question number 3. And we had Australia asking us to adopt the version in document COP20, note the version in this annex. But the problem is that meanwhile, Committee 2 has accepted and finished the work on COP20, Doc 49, and they accepted a different question. So as this has been accepted, we cannot, as another committee, contradict this one. So if this would not be in agreement for a party, it would have to be raised in plenary whenever this document 49 is being introduced in plenary. So I would like to go back to Australia if they would be in agreement to do that in plenary if they wish to do so. So Australia, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification, Chair. We would like to seek other parties' views prior to plenary, but we can either do that as part of this conversation or we will do it in the sidelines. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we can seek views, sure, about that, but we can't accept it here if there would be strong views to accept that. So with this, I would then later, when I have finished with what I have prepared, I would then open the floor for any comments on whether you would prefer to have the question as in Doc 49 or as in the annex to our document here. Then we had the second amendment proposal from New Zealand in the footnote 6. New Zealand proposed to include CMS as an example. So it would read for the footnote 6 would then read, for instance, as applicable, CMS and the agreement on port states measures to prevent and so on. So introducing CMS there. I see CMS, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. If you allow me, may I suggest different wording?
Of course, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I would propose to add reference to CMS to the end of the footnote and extend it a little bit, and it would then read after documents required under CITES and the Convention on the Conservation of Migratory Species of Wild Animals, in brackets CMS, whose Article 3.5 prohibits the taking of species listed in CMS Appendix 1. Full stop.
Can you repeat that again, and please slowly?
Yes, of course. So after documents required under CITES, it would then read, and the Convention on the Conservation of Migratory Species of Wild Animals, in brackets CMS, comma, whose Article Roman 3, in brackets 5, prohibits the taking of species listed in CMS Appendix 1, full stop. Thank you.
Thank you, CMS. I'm looking at New Zealand. Are you in agreement with this change? Can you live with this?
Yes, I can live with that. Yeah, it does make a long footnote, but yeah, if other parties are happy with that, then yeah, I don't see a problem.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I see Japan.
Thank you, Chair. It was a bit first for me at least, so could you kindly repeat it?
Yes. So in footnote 6, at the end, after under CITES, it would continue with, and the Convention on Conservation of Migratory Species of Wild Animals, in brackets CMS, whose Article 3, paragraph 5, prohibits the taking of species in CMS Appendix 1. European Union.
Gracias, Chair. Apoyamos también esta inclusión a pie de página. Gracias.
Thank you very much. Ecuador.
Gracias, presidente. Ecuador, como parte de CMS, apoya el cambio hecho por Nueva Zelanda con las modificaciones de la Secretaría de CMS.
Panamá.
Gracias, señor presidente. Panamá, como parte de la CMS, también apoya el cambio sugerido a pie de página. Gracias.
Thank you. I think we have agreement on that then. Then we have still open paragraph, the third paragraph. Sorry, I see Japan. Japan, you have asked for the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry for taking the floor again, but Japan is not a member of the CMS, so maybe we need some like modification if it's possible, but I'm still thinking how we can modify it.
Japan, maybe if the whole sentence starts, for instance, comma, as applicable, comma, then it continues with these two examples. So I think it already takes care of your concerns, because it's only directed when it is applicable. So I think if you're not member to CMS, it's not applicable to you then. Japan?
Thank you very much. Yes, we can go along with the amendment proposed by, I forgot the proponent, but we can go along with the amendment. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Japan. But before looking at the amendment proposed by Japan on the third paragraph on page 13 of our document, I would like to go back to the first one, that question 3, where we have the option of document 49 that has been approved by Committee 2, and the option that we have in our document in Annex 1. So I would like to ask parties on their views, what they would like to have in there, so that Australia does have a sense of the room, whether it would be feasible and sensible to reopen the debate on that matter in the plenary. So I need some feedback from you, which of these two options of questions you would prefer. With also the assumption that if you don't say anything, well, no, I can't make this assumption. So please tell me if you are in favor of one of the two options. Okay, I see Japan. Japan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry taking floor again. Yeah, I'm a little bit confused. So may I ask Chair to explain the situation of the document 49 again? Sorry taking floor again, taking some time. But Japan would like to fully understand the current situation. Thank you.
Okay, Japan, in relation to the situation, why we have to talk about it like that, I would like to give the floor to the Secretariat to explain why we are in this situation.
Thank you, Chair. To answer Japan's question, yesterday in Committee 2, the item 49 on legal acquisition finding was discussed. In the document 49 discussed in Committee 2 yesterday, there were draft amendments proposed to Resolution Conf 18.7 RefCop 19 on legal acquisition findings, and one of these amendments focuses on Annex 3, Question 3. And yesterday, Committee 2 agreed to the proposed amendments to this Annex 3, Question 3 of the Rapid Guide on Making Legal Acquisition Finding. In the context of the working groups on sharks and rays, the working group also recommended a certain number of amendments to Annex 3, including to the same question 3, and the proposed amendments by the shark working groups sort of clash with the amendments proposed under the document on legal acquisition finding. The Secretariat in their comments highlighted the overlapping proposed amendments to Annex 3, question 3, and advised to rather move with the adoption of the amendments proposed under item 49, based on the fact that the amendments proposed under item 88.1 create a certain redundancy with the language that is already present in other parts of the rapid guide for making a legal acquisition finding. The issue at the moment is that Committee 2 has already agreed to the changes to Annex 3, question 3 under the item 49. And so now the chair is seeking views from the parties in order to give a sense to Australia as to whether or not there is support to continue the discussion on Annex 3, question 3 within Committee 1 today. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Secretariat. Still not seeing any parties asking for it. I see the United States. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Based on that helpful explanation from the Secretariat, I do think there would be merit on having a discussion in plenary about preference between document 49's version versus document 88.1's version. So we just wanted to voice that. Thank you.
Thank you, United States. European Union.
Estamos de acuerdo con el 49. Gracias, presidente. Estaríamos de acuerdo con la propuesta de la versión del documento 49.
Okay, that leaves us with Australia having to decide based on what you hear here whether you want to raise the issue or whether another party wants to raise the issue in plenary. I don't think we can resolve that here now. Australia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Based on what we've heard so far, we're comfortable with going with what was agreed on item 49, but if other parties raise it, then we can have that discussion as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Australia. So now we move on to the last item where we still have to make a decision. We have the amendment. We have the third paragraph on page 13 of our document. We had several parties, many parties in agreeing on that, but Japan wanted to have an addition at the end of this paragraph, saying that in case where there is a bilateral agreement, the coastal state may consign the implementation of the provisions of Articles 3, 4, and 5 to the flag state of the vessel. So that was an addition by Japan, and it was supported by Republic of Korea. I would like to hear some more parties' views on this one, whether you would be in agreement with the addition by Japan, supported by the Republic of Korea, or whether you want to retain the original version. I see New Zealand.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to reiterate that New Zealand is opposed to this amendment, that we can see a situation could arise where trade could be done from the coastal waters of one party back to the fishing parties or the flag state and land at an airport and avoid any CITES documentation at all, because it would become internal trade.
Thank you. I have United States.
Thank you, Chair. The United States would also like to reiterate our opposition to Japan's amendment as it is not consistent with the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea. In this form, we are dealing with international trade. When international trade takes place, there is a country of export and a country of import. As a legal matter, if the catch occurs in waters under a coastal state's jurisdiction, only the coastal state could be the exporting country. Under the international law of the sea, a coastal state has exclusive and sovereign rights over its economic exclusion zone and other maritime zones with respect to exploring, exploiting, conserving, and managing natural resources. This, for natural resources purposes, the territorial sea and the economic exclusion zone are part of the coastal state. Accordingly, when a catch occurs within a state's maritime jurisdiction, the flag state is not and cannot be the exporting state. The exporting country can only be the coastal state. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, United States. I have Japan.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I had concern about the Japan's proposed text. And to address this concern, I just try to check the revised text to see the reaction from the other countries. May I read the revised text to be inserted at the end of third paragraph? Revised text is followed. Except for the case whether the specimen is landed directly in the flag state, coastal state may consign the implementation of the provision of Article 3, 4, and 5 to the flag state of the vessels. I'll repeat. Except for the case whether the specimen is landed directly in the flag state, the coastal state may consign the implementation of the provisions of Article 3, 4, and 5 to the flag state of the vessels. The reason why Japan is suggesting this revised text is follows. Sometimes it is difficult to obtain CITES export permit from the coastal state for the fish which is harvested by the flag state because the fishing vessels do not necessarily enter port of the coastal state. To address these difficulties, Japan is suggesting this additional sentence. And I would like to see the reaction from the other countries. Thank you.
So if I understood correctly, you want to replace your previous sentence to read after apply. You would want to have introduced except for the case where the specimen is landed directly in the flag state, a coastal state may consign the implementation of provisions of Article 3, 4, and 5 to the flag state of the vessel. So that's the new text that Japan is proposing. Republic of Korea.
Thank you, Chair. The management of the harvest marine species should be considered by the both aspects of CITES and RFMOs responsible for resources management. Therefore, designating coastal states as the exporting states appears inconsistent with the overall framework of the RFMO's catch documentation scheme. Furthermore, the FAO's voluntary guideline for catch documentation scheme specified that the responsibility of the CDS lies with the flag states, indicating that the management of the catches falls under the jurisdiction of the flag states. However, in the spirit of the compromise, the Republic of Korea supports Japan's new amendment. Thank you.
Okay, I would like now to go back to the parties who were opposed to the proposal from Japan initially and what they think about the new added text. So I see New Zealand.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Japan and Korea for the revised text. I still see problems with this, that as the United States has mentioned, it's the responsibility of the coastal state to manage the resources within their EEZ. I could see situations where you could have multiple flag states fishing in the waters of a coastal state, and therefore it would be really hard for the coastal state to determine what was being taken from their waters. And so I think that the coordination should be done by the coastal state, and I would expect the flag states to assist the coastal states in developing non-detriment findings and legal acquisition findings, etc. But I think the coastal state should be the state responsible for managing CITES provisions. Thank you.
Thank you, New Zealand. United States.
Thank you, Chair. We appreciate Japan's revisions to try to address some of our earlier concerns, but the United States still remains concerned about this proposed edit. As in this scenario, when a specimen caught by a vessel operating under the flag of State A in a marine area within jurisdiction of State B and landed in State C, State A would be the exporting country and State C would be the importing country, even though the specimens were caught in a marine area within jurisdiction of State B. In this scenario, the export and import would be recorded in the CITES trade statistics as a transaction from State A to State C, even though the specimens were caught in a marine area within jurisdiction of State B. This would result in inaccurate information on the origin of the specimen in the CITES trade database. This is problematic. Our aim should be to increase traceability for trade in CITES-listed marine species, not obscure it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, United States. I have Panama.
Gracias, señor presidente. Nosotros seguimos apoyando la moción que acaba de mencionar Nueva Zelanda. Muchas gracias.
United Kingdom.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Japan for the revised text. We appreciate the challenges that flag states might face in securing documentation from coastal states, but we remain opposed to the amendment for the concerns outlined by New Zealand and the US. And we know this is quite a technical issue. It's had very robust discussion in the Sharks and Rays working group, and it's becoming increasingly difficult to follow on the floor. Full credit to New Zealand and the US for managing to, but we are struggling slightly.
Thank you, not only you. European Union.
Gracias, presidente. Por nuestra parte también estamos de acuerdo con lo comentado por Nueva Zelanda en relación a que la coordinación debe ser hecha por el Estado costero. Gracias.
Argentina.
Gracias, presidente. Argentina agradece igualmente la redacción de esta propuesta por parte de Japón, pero apoyamos lo manifestado por Nueva Zelanda. El manejo de los recursos los tienen los países costeros. Gracias.
And finally, Sri Lanka.
Thank you, Chair. We'd also like to support New Zealand on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Give me a second to wrap up. Okay, so in relation to our job under A, adopt the proposed amendments to Annex 3 to Resolution Conf 18.7 on legal acquisition findings contained in Annex 1 to the present document. The conclusion of the Committee 1 is to adopt to agree the amendments to Annex 3 to Resolution Conf 18.7 contained in Annex 1 to the document, except for the section on question 3 of Annex 3, what laws and regulations apply to the legality of the specimen, which was agreed in Committee 2 under document CoP20 Doc 49, with the amendment by New Zealand to add with the amendment proposed by CMS to add and the Convention on and Conservation of Migratory Species of Wild Animals, CMS, whose Article 3.5 prohibits the taking of species in CMS Appendix 1. So these are the changes that we adopt. Now we have to move on to letter B, adopt the draft decisions on sharks and rays contained in Annex 2 to the present document. So please refer in your statements to the Annex 2. I already heard several parties saying they were okay with Annex 2, with the decisions in Annex 2. Now I open the floor for additional comments to Annex 2, the decisions in Annex 2. United States of America.
Thank you, Chair. At SC 79, the Standing Committee agreed to refer decisions of reporting catch locations from document SC 79 Doc 9 on reporting catch locations from introductory to the sea to the Conference of Parties for consideration under this agenda item. On behalf of Canada, Mexico, and the United States, I would like to propose an additional draft decision under 20EE. Our proposal is contained in Information Doc 65. I will also slowly read the proposed new decision. So it would be a new little d, taking into account document SC 79, Doc 9, on reporting catch locations for introductory from the sea, comma, further consider the feasibility of including the addition of catch location in the guidance for preparation and submission of CITES annual reports, comma, necessary amendments to Resolution Conf 13.3, Reb COP 19 on permits and certificates to facilitate implementation of catch locations in the annual reports, comma, and further develop practical guidance on how parties can consistently and accurately collect and report the information for all relevant trade, semicolon, and then renumber as necessary.
Thank you, United States. As this was quite a long text, can you please repeat it once more slowly?
Of course, Chair. New little d would be taking into account document SC 79, Doc 9 on reporting catch location for introductory from the sea, comma, further consider the feasibility of including the addition of catch location in the guidance for preparation and submission of CITES annual reports, comma, necessary amendments to Resolution Conf 12.3, Rev. CoP19 on permits and certificates to facilitate implementation of catch locations in the annual reports, and further develop practical guidance on how parties can consistently and accurately collect and report this information for all relevant trade, and just as a reminder, because it is a lengthy text, it can be found in Information Doc 65. Thank you.
Thank you, United States. Just two words. I think the correct term is for introduction from the sea. And we are also always talking about the guidelines for preparation and submission of CITES annual reports. I think it would be better to use these two terms to be in line with CITES speak.
I would concur. That was just a slip of tongue. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now I have Canada asking for the floor. Canada, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for the opportunity to address the draft decisions on conservation, management, and trade of sharks and rays. Canada supports the set of draft decisions contained in Annex 2 with the additional decision as proposed by the United States. Thank you.
Thank you, Canada. European Union.
Gracias, Presidente. Apoyamos o estamos de acuerdo con la propuesta de Estados Unidos, Canadá y México. Gracias.
Thank you. Australia.
Thank you, Chair. We support the draft decisions. However, we are concerned that as they are currently written, the Standing Committee may identify a need for new guidance on stockpiles of shark parts and derivatives, but have no authority to develop the guidance prior to COP21. We therefore propose the following minor amendments. At the end of draft decision 20EE, subparagraph A, following in Appendix 2, add the text and, if there is a need, develop such guidance that parties may use as appropriate. Would you like me to read that again?
Yes, slowly, please.
Yep. At the end of draft decision 20EE, subparagraph A, following in Appendix 2, add the text and, if there is a need, develop such guidance that parties may use as appropriate. Shall I continue to the next suggestion?
I think I got that, yes. Next suggestion.
Thank you. At the end of draft decision 20EE, subparagraph C, replace the text, make recommendations to COP21 with, if there is a need, develop such guidance that parties may use as appropriate. Shall I repeat that?
Yes, please.
Okay. At the end of draft decision 20EE, subparagraph C, replace the text, make recommendations to COP21 with, if there is a need, develop such guidance that parties may use as appropriate.
Thank you.
Regarding the deletion of make recommendations to COP21, we consider this is already appropriately captured under subparagraph D, which I guess with the US's changes may become subparagraph E. These amendments also ensure that if the Standing Committee determines guidance is not needed, no further action would be required. Finally, we support the new decision proposed by the US, Canada, and Mexico. Thank you.
Thank you, Australia. I have Japan.
Thank you, Chair. And Japan also supports the new draft decision proposed by US. But we have very small amendment regarding draft decision 20EE, subparagraph A. And in the second paragraph, after derivatives, Japan would like to add 3 words, which are for international trade, because CITES is a convention for regulate international trade. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Japan. Okay, seeing no other party wishing to take the floor, I take it that Committee 1 agrees or accepts the draft decisions on sharks and rays contained in Annex 2 to the present document with the amendments by Canada, Mexico, United States, Australia, and Japan. So with this, we go to letter C, adopt the draft decisions on feasibility of an adapted RST process for sharks and rays contained in Annex 3 to the present document. I would like to open the floor for comments, noting that we had already several parties before saying that they would support these draft decisions. And I take it if I don't see any party, then there is agreement on these draft decisions. So letter C, the committee accepts the draft decisions on the feasibility of an adapted RST process for sharks and rays contained in Annex 3 to the present document. I see China. China, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. The review of significant trade has always been conducted on a species and a country combination basis. In current draft decisions on the feasibility of an adapted RST process for shark and rays on page 19 appears to have introduced species range as a review basis. China is uncertain about how range-based review can be practical and reconcilable with the core framework of species and country combination of RST. For this reason, China would like to suggest the deletion of the word range in the draft decision paragraph 20.AA, subparagraph AIII. Thank you, Chair.
Maybe New Zealand can add some clarification to this one. So New Zealand, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I think the 2 terms are useful because range states would be include the EEZs of parties. Fishing states could be fishing on the high seas in A, B, and J. And so I think we need both terms in there to cover both situations. Thank you.
I see India.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. India wishes to suggest the following amendments in the draft decision on the feasibility of RST. In draft decision 20AA, after paragraph A, the following paragraph B to be added. B, circulate the report to all concerned range parties and invite their comments within a feasible time frame. The existing paragraph B would therefore become paragraph C. The new paragraph C to be read as follows. C, provide the animal committee with the report along with the comments received from the range parties, the implications and feasibilities of implementing such a process and any amendments that may be necessary to resolution Conf 12.8 Rev CoP18 on review of significant trade in specimen of Appendix 2 species. Thank you, Chair.
You know, in India, I think that the report, there are not specific parties concerned by this report, and usually the way this is dealt with is then at the Animals Committee, the parties can be present and review that report and make their comments. That's the way it usually functions, because we normally don't create reports and then circulate them with all parties concerned and then send it out to the Animals Committee. Usually the report goes directly to the Animals Committee, where parties then at the meeting can then make their comments and suggestions. That's the way it usually goes. So I don't know if this extra step is really necessary and helpful, but I will have to hear to parties here in the room. China, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. China thanks New Zealand for the clarification. China suggests ending stays after range. Thank you.
Okay, so you would like to have identify range states and fishing states. Is that correct? Okay, I see nodding. We have the suggestion by India to add a new paragraph in this decision 20AA, letter A. No, in AA and also an additional text in 20AA little b. I don't see any support for this addition, so I take it that the Committee 1 is not in agreement with this additional paragraph. Okay. Okay, now, so my conclusion is that in relation to letter C, the committee accepts the decisions on feasibility of an adapted RST process for sharks and rays as amended by China. So now we have letter D, which is a set of draft decisions on hosting the eNDF tool on the CITES website contained in Annex 4 to the present document. And I've already heard support for this one, but I open the floor for any comments from parties. I see Canada. Canada, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Regarding the draft decisions on hosting the Shark NDF tool on the CITES website, Canada does support these decisions. However, we seek clarification on the intent and implications of this hosting arrangement. The document suggests that the Secretariat would host the tool on the official CITES Sharks and Rays portal. Given this, we are concerned about the perception that hosting on the CITES website might be interpreted as an official endorsement or could imply that parties are required to use the tool. Given that, we would appreciate if the Secretariat could communicate on their website that this is a tool provided for parties who may find it useful, but it is not a requirement for making of an NDF, and it is not endorsed by the Secretariat. Thank you.
Thank you. Secretary, please, can you respond to that question?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Canada, for the question. This is something that can be worked out on the website of CITES. We have various disclaimers on various pages and various elements and documents that we provide without implying any endorsement from the Secretariat or any mandatory character of any of those documents, including certain guidances that we also have on the website. So it's possible to do.
Thank you for this. Now I have Bangladesh.
Thank you, Chair. Bangladesh strongly supports the hosting of the ENDF tool on the CITES website. From our experience in applying this user-friendly tool, we think it is very important and valuable for all parties to have access to it. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Bangladesh. Sri Lanka.
Thank you, Chair. We wish to express specific support for the draft decision in Annex 4 on the inclusion of the electronic NDF tool to the CITES website. This tool greatly expedites the development of NDFs for sharks, rays, and sea cucumber. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And my last, the last intervention is from New Zealand.
Thank you, Chair. And we'd certainly welcome this to be available on the CITES website, even with the disclaimer that Canada suggests should be there. I think it will give greater credibility. We found in New Zealand that we weren't able to access the tool on a site hosted by a non-government organisation, but we think we will from on the CITES website. I'm just wondering whether actually an amendment here is to just have the tool available on the CITES website rather than specifically on the Sharks and Rays portal, because websites come and go and change format, so the Sharks and Rays portal may disappear. So just a more generic title, so strike the words the Sharks and Rays portal of, so the tool would be available on the CITES website.
Thank you, New Zealand. Yes, elderly people like we too, we have experienced that, haven't we? Good. So, okay, I think that with this addition, with this amendment, we can adopt, we can accept these draft decisions. So the committee accepts the draft decisions on hosting the NDF tool on the CITES website contained in Annex 4 to the present document as amended by New Zealand. And the last thing we have to do on that document is to accept the deletion of decisions 19-222 to 19-227. I've already had parties who were in agreement with that, so if I don't see any party raising the flag, I take it that the committee accepts the deletion of decisions 19-222 to 19-227. I would like shortly to open the floor also to AGOs, NGOs, if they have any comments to make on this matter, on this document, so that we also have heard their voices. I see IFO. IFO, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I'm making this intervention on behalf of a number of organisations, the full list of which will be provided to the Secretariat. We welcome parties' support for the recommendations in document 88.1, including the decisions as amended during the discussion. The updates to the Rapid Guide in Annex 1 include important clarifications around the responsibilities of states in the making of legal acquisition findings for marine species. Like Australia, IFOR believes the amendments to question 3 in the guide are more precise than those in document 49. The draft decisions in Annex 2 encourage parties to report on their implementation of shark listings, including sharing of NDFs, and to identify support needs. We welcome the request to seek funding for a marine species officer in the Secretariat. Such additional expertise is crucial given the number of marine species now listed in CITES. We stress the importance of decisions 20.cc, little e and f, which direct the Secretariat to investigate mismatches in shark reporting between the CITES trade database and other data sets, and encourage parties that do not appear to be reporting shark trade to do so. Misreporting and underreporting of CITES shark trade appear to be extensive, so further investigation is critical. We welcome the decisions in Annex 3, an adapted RST process that examines trade in listed shark and ray species at stock level rather than on an individual country or species basis makes much more sense for shared stocks that are exploited by multiple parties. We note that there are already previous examples of parties using the RST process for geographical groups of countries or at a higher taxonomic level. This has been done across a range of taxa, both terrestrial and marine, both flora and fauna, and this flexible approach should be used for sharks and rays where appropriate to do so. Ensuring the eNDF tool developed by the Blue Resources Trust is available via the CITES website will avoid potential access barriers, as New Zealand just identified. We also underline the benefits of translation into several languages to further improve usability to a wide range of parties. IFOR has already supported the translation of the tool into Spanish and Arabic for this purpose. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, IFO. And last speaker, Wildlife Justice Commission.
Thank you, Chair. The Wildlife Justice Commission welcomes the adoption of the draft decisions as contained in Annex 2 of Doc 88.1. The Wildlife Justice Commission works with law enforcement authorities globally to disrupt and dismantle organized criminal networks trafficking in vulnerable species. Our investigations show a substantial, sophisticated, and profitable global illegal trade in sharks, including in CITES-listed species. Our findings reveal systemic misdeclaration of species of shark fin exports, the use of fraudulent permits and alternative shipping routes, concealment of fins among legally traded products, and the involvement of legal shark fin suppliers in illegal trade, undermining enforcement efforts. Given the close links between legal and illegal trade in sharks, we would encourage parties to collect and report information on illegal trade alongside legal trade to improve understanding of trade dynamics and improve data collection and reporting consistent with Resolution Conference 12.6. We also encourage expanding work on conversion factors, for which only limited information is currently available on the CITES website, which would assist authorities in estimating quantities of sharks in large-scale shark fin seizures. We also commend and encourage the development of the image repository of wet and dried unprocessed shark parts and derivatives, which would be a great benefit to assist law enforcement with species identification during investigations and following seizures. Without strong measures, illegal trade will continue to drive sharks towards extinction. Thank you.
Thank you, Wildlife Justice Commission. So now we have done with 88.1. Now we turn our attention to 88.2, draft decisions on trade, conservation and management of deepwater elasmobranchs. This document has been submitted by the European Union and the UK. I invite the UK to present this document.
Thank you, Chair. Not to correct you, but we think the European Union might introduce this document.
Thank you. I had different information, so I give the floor to the European Union. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for correcting that, and sorry you had the wrong information. I speak on behalf of the EU and its member states. Deepwater elasmobranchs have been on the agenda of the CITES Animals Committee Working Group on Sharks and Rays, elasmobranchi SPP, for a number of years, and we welcome the Appendix 2 listing for the genus Centrophoridae as accepted by this committee today. We feel that Working Document 88.2 is complementary to this decision and that it is necessary to have an holistic approach for those species that face similar threats from international trade. The fact-finding process we suggest in the draft decisions will address knowledge gaps for species at global and regional scales, as well as provide an overview of the international trade and management of species of deep-water elasmobranchs and their products, with a view to identifying the conservation priorities and management needs related to the trade of both CITES and non-CITES listed deep-water elasmobranchs, and consider how potential CITES conservation measures could complement existing fisheries management measures to support regional, global, and/or multilateral approaches. By doing this, we will not only be supporting the implementation of the CITES Appendix 2 Centrophoridae listing, but we'll also be working towards a sustainable trade, conservation, and management of all deepwater elasmobranchs. The steep population declines observed for deepwater elasmobranchs cannot be easily reversed owing to long generation lengths and low recovery potentials. However, a combination of depth and spatial limits to fishing activity alongside catch regulations, bycatch mitigation, and international trade regulation could help recovery of populations of all species. We respectfully acknowledge the comments made by the CITES Secretariat to this proposal, but consider it to be timely that CITES CoP20 adopts the proposed decisions and that we work collaboratively with regional fisheries management organizations, regional fisheries bodies, the FAO, and other relevant bodies to address the challenges associated with ensuring sustainable trade, conservation, and management of all deepwater elasmobranchs. If this proposal is accepted, the EU will consider contributing financially to the implementation of the decisions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, European Union. I now have the UK. UK, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. As a co-proponent, we will be brief. The United Kingdom fully aligns with the intervention made by the European Union and its member states. The UK considers it as essential to address the specific challenges relating to the conservation and international trade of both gulper sharks and other deepwater elasmobranchs. The draft decisions provide a clear pathway to address these gaps, and we are pleased to be able to provide a financial contribution towards the implementation of measures to improve the status of elasmobranchs. Thank you.
Thank you, UK. I have now New Zealand.
Thank you, Chair. We thank the European Union and the United Kingdom for preparing this document and also indicating financial support for the way forward. The parlous state of the gulper shark populations has long been noted by the Animals Committee's Working Group on Sharks and Rays, and a recent scientific paper in the journal Science has highlighted that gulper shark populations have been seriously overfished, mainly for their very high quality squalene. The path forward proposed in this document makes sense and is even more relevant given that the provisional adoption of Proposal 34 today. A CITES listing of this family will pose significant new implementation challenges for tracing squalene products through the supply chain, given its many and varied end uses. This will likely prove much more challenging than tracing shark fins or shark fillets in trade. It raises the question to me of why the convention text allows annotations concerning particular plant products in trade, but not particular animal products in trade. And it may be time to start thinking about amending the convention text to align the treatment of animal and plant specimens and dare I say it, fungi, but also by also allowing annotations to include particular animal and fungal products in trade, and that's for some future committees to deal with.
Thank you, New Zealand. I have Canada.
Thank you, Chair. We thank the European Union and the United Kingdom for this document. Canada supports these draft decisions with the amendments as proposed by the Secretariat, as we would prefer these decisions to focus on listed species, given the workload and resource implications involved. If these decisions are adopted and if funding is available, Canada would suggest that the technical workshop be a series of virtual workshops rather than an in-person meeting. We believe virtual platforms provide an effective and resource-efficient means to facilitate discussion and to ensure the opportunity for equal participation of all parties. Canada remains committed to constructive cooperation to advance the conservation and sustainable management of deep-water sharks. Thank you.
Thank you, Canada. I have Tanzania.
Thank you, Chair. Tanzania notes with concern the scientific findings presented by Fanucci et al. 2024, which show that gulper sharks are among the least productive marine species, which mature late, producing fewer offsprings, and covering extremely slow, making them highly vulnerable to exploitation, and that approximately 75% of gulper shark species are classified as threatened on the IUCN Red List, primarily due to unsustainable fishing driven by demand for liver oil rich in squalene. Tanzania supports the adoption of the draft decisions to strengthen conservation and sustainable management of deep water elasmobranchs, and emphasizes the need for technical assistance and capacity building support for coastal developing states to monitor and regulate deep water fisheries effectively. Tanzania stands ready and of course encourages collaboration with regional bodies such as the IOTC to harmonize catch reporting and species identification in the Western Indian Ocean. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Tanzania. China, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. China concurs with Canada and the Secretariat's amendments to the draft that the decision should focus on the CITES listed species only. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, China. I have Australia.
Thank you, Chair. Australia supports the comments made by Canada and China. Thank you.
I have Japan.
Thank you, Chair. Japan would like to thank EU and the UK for preparing the document. Japan notes the proponent question the effectiveness of the existing regulations and management measures in ensuring sustainable utilization of the species. However, we'd like to highlight that some management measures adopted by regional fisheries management organizations have reinforced. For example, at the 12th meeting of the Paris 2000 Indian Ocean Fisheries Agreement, it has been agreed that bottom-line fisheries are prohibited from catching the species in certain convention areas. And Japan also notes that Proposal 34 was just adopted in COP20, since it has been not yet entered into effect. I would believe that adopting the proposed draft decision at this stage would be premature. However, as many parties in the room expressed support for the draft decision, and so Japan could accept the draft decisions with amendment proposed by the Secretariat to limit their scope to CITES listed species only. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Japan. India, you have the floor.
India thanks the effort of European Union and its member, and the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland for the CoP20 Doc 82.2. India notes the issues contained on the document and the draft decisions contained in the Annex 1 to the document and supports the draft decision contained in Annex 2 CoP20 Doc 88.2. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, India. I have no more parties asking for the floor, so let me think a bit. Thank you. Well, I have over 30 parties in favor of the original set of decision as proposed by the European Union and the UK, and 4 parties who are in favor of the secretariats. So if I look at these numbers at the moment, I would go along with the original set of decisions, but I need maybe to hear some more parties in the room for which set of decisions they would tend to have a better and clear picture. So I would like to ask parties to voice their views on this one. Mexico, you have the floor.
Gracias, señor presidente. México también apoya la versión enmendada por la Secretaría con las adiciones de Canadá. Gracias.
United States.
Thank you, Chair. We would like to thank the European Union and its member states and the United Kingdoms for their proposal. But we would like to align with Canada, China, and Australia with preferring the Secretariat's amendments to limit to CITES listed species. Thank you.
Thank you. Iran?
Yes, Iran supports amendment by Secretariat. Thank you.
Thank you. So parties, I do not really want to go to a vote on this one. So I would like to ask the two sides, some parties, to think whether there would be a possibility for a drafting group to work on these two sets of the decisions, if you see a possibility there. Otherwise, we will have to vote on these two sets of decisions, something I wouldn't really want to do, because we may end up like in the other issue that we already had in this committee with nothing in our hands. So I open the floor to parties if they are if they see a possibility to find a compromise. So please reflect on that and tell me. So New Zealand.
Thank you, Chair. I was just wondering whether the compromises, obviously this paper is about deep water elasmobranchs, of which looks like we've got about 20 species now likely to be on the CITES appendices. And so maybe the workshop and the work could concentrate on the CITES listed species, but could also include other species that are not. But if the concentration is on the CITES listed species, I'm also conscious of the fact that the proponents have generously offered to fund the workshop, and so is there a danger that the funding may be lost if it is concentrating only on the CITES listed species? Thank you.
Thank you, New Zealand. European Union.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, New Zealand, for your constructive suggestion, which I think is a very good one. I think it would be quite difficult. I mean, we can look at the 20 species, but the type of habitats and exploitation we're looking at, we get many more species. So if we sort of do the central Floridae and take the other ones along, that would be, I think that would be acceptable to us without limiting it too much. I also think the expertise and other work being done on deep water elasmobranchs will be able to fit into this. There are a number of international projects already started looking at all the deep water elasmobranchs, looking at ecological risk assessments, which I think would be very good input for such a workshop. So I think the suggestion from New Zealand is excellent. So I think as far as we're concerned, acceptable. We didn't get the contact yet with the other proponent, but maybe they can react. Thank you.
I think we cannot do that here in plenary, but I see that there may be a possibility to come to an agreement between the parties. So I would suggest that we do strike a drafting group composed of the UK, the EU, New Zealand, Canada, China, Australia, and Japan. That they sit together and see if they find a way forward to have one common set of decision, and the basis would be the decisions as contained in document 88.2 and the decisions as proposed by the Secretariat. Can you agree? I see the UK.
Thank you, Chair. We do recognise that the Secretariat is under resource constraints, and so we're of course sensitive to the points that have been raised by parties. We would be happy to support a drafting group to find a compromise.
Thank you very much for your indulgence. So I think that's what we will do. European Union.
Sorry, I was just going to say we agree. Thank you, Chair.
Perfect. So this will be the task of this. China, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. China in the position that the decision should focus on CITES listed species, and therefore we are not very optimistic that we will reach any consensus even with the drafting group. So we would prefer to resolve this issue here. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have large agreement to have a drafting group, and I would like to ask you. I mean, the proponents already said that the focus could be mainly on the CITES listed species, but trying to take all other issues on board as well. So I think that will be the work of the working group to find a way there. So I propose that we go along as I proposed. Australia.
Thank you, Chair. Similar to China, I think, I don't exactly know what a working group scope will try and achieve. It seems fairly simple that there's two options, and so in the interest of time, Australia would also be open to a vote.
Canada.
Thank you, Chair. We support the comments just made by Australia. Thank you.
Okay, so I suppose there's no big will to find a compromise here, so we will have to go to a vote on this one. So let me quickly reflect how we deal with this. Just a second. Okay, just to be clear what we will have to do, we will have to do first take a vote on the set of decisions that is furthest away from the original one, which is of course the proposed set of decisions by the Secretariat. And then yes, so if the set of decisions by the Secretariat is adopted, then we do not vote on the original set anymore. Just to be clear on that. And I think we only have disagreement on 20AA and not on 20BB, CC, and DD. I think that they would remain the same, whatever is being decided on AA. Okay? I'll let you a minute to think about that so that we don't have to interrupt once I started. United States, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I was hoping you could give clarification again on exactly what we are voting for, since there was also the suggestion by New Zealand that seemed favorable. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, the suggestion of New Zealand was a general one, that there were no concrete amendments to the decisions, and it would take. That's why I was asking to have a drafting group to look at these issues and see if there's a way forward. But that there was no agreement on that. parties didn't want to seek a way to find a way to agree on these combined set of decisions. So that's why we will vote on the Secretariat's amendments to the original decisions and on the original decisions. So on these two things. And we will start with the amended set of decisions by the Secretariat, because they are furthest away from the original one. If they are adopted, then we will adopt them, and the original ones will not be voted on. If, on the contrary, the amended set of decision is not adopted, then we have to vote on the first set as well. Do we?
If the amended version is rejected.
Yeah. Okay. So first, we will vote on the set of decisions as amended by the Secretariat and contained in document Doc 88.2 in the comments of the Secretariat. So if you vote yes, you are in favor of these set of decisions. Is it a two-thirds? Huh? Two-thirds.
It's a substantive.
The voting type is by normal vote. The vote of the European Union will be cast. Can you look this up, please?
What is the item? Member States.
The vote of the European Union will be cast by the individual member states. Since this is a vote on a substantive matter, the decision will be adopted by a two-thirds majority. We are ready technically. Please remain seated. Parties, you have now 40 seconds to cast your vote. The ballot is open now. Can you please display the results on the screen? So with 47 votes in favor and 26 against and 51 abstentions, the set of decisions as amended by the Secretariat is not accepted. So can you please display the individual results on the screen? Now we will see. Okay, now we'll have the second vote. So we now vote on the original set of decisions as contained in the Annex 1 of document 88.2, which was proposed by the European Union and United Kingdom. The voting type is by normal vote. The vote of the European Union will be cast by the individual member states. Since this is a vote on a substantive matter, the decision will be adopted by a 2/3 majority. So we are ready. Parties, you have 40 seconds to cast your vote. The ballot is open now. Technicians, can you display the results on the screen? So with 73 votes in favor, 14 votes against, and 40 abstentions, the original set of decisions as contained in document 88.2 submitted by the European Union and the UK are accepted. That concludes our debate on 88.2. Yes, can you please present the individual votes? Okay, now we move on to the next document, which is CoP20, Doc 90, Conservation of and Trade in Sea Cucumbers. This document has been submitted by the United States. United States, you have the floor to introduce the document.
Thank you, Chair. The United States is pleased to introduce Agenda Item CoP20, Doc 90 on the conservation of and trade in sea cucumbers. Sea cucumbers in the families Holothuridae and Stickopodidae are highly valued in some markets where they are consumed as a delicacy and used in traditional medicine. Due to their life history, trade value, and ease of collection, sea cucumbers are also susceptible to overexploitation. Growing international demand for sea cucumbers has triggered concerns regarding overharvest in unregulated or poorly managed fisheries, which pose a threat to local sea cucumber populations and the coastal communities that depend on these fisheries. Noting that there are currently 7 sea cucumber species included in the appendices and an additional species that was supported in this committee for inclusion in Appendix 2, we believe this is an appropriate time to consider challenges related to the sustainable use of these species. Although not specified in our document, we also want to acknowledge the important sea cucumber identification guides published by France's Office Français de la Biodiversité, the Centre national de la recherche scientifique, and the Muséum national d'histoire naturelle, which are available on the CITES website and represent a key tool to assist enforcement officers in differentiating the species in trade and supporting effective implementation of the Convention for these taxa. To that end, we propose several draft decisions found in Annex 1 to document COP20 Doc 90, which inter alia direct the Secretariat to issue a notification to the parties seeking information on sea cucumber conservation and management, and to the animals and standing committees to consider relevant information and develop recommendations to ensure sustainable use of the taxa. We thank the Secretariat for its comments and support the suggested amendments to the draft decisions and the new draft decision directed to the Food and Agricultural Organization. We do note a couple of minor editorial errors in the Secretariat's suggested amendments, and so we are happy to share those corrections with the Secretariat. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, United States. I now open the floor for comments from parties on this proposed set of draft decisions and the amendments made by the Secretariat. European Union.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Donc, je m'exprime au nom de l'Union européenne et de ses 27 États membres. Nous tenons à remercier les États-Unis d'Amérique d'avoir soumis ce document visant à améliorer la gestion et l'utilisation durable des espèces de concombres de mer. Dans de nombreuses régions, la pêche aux concombres de mer n'est pas ou presque pas réglementée, ce qui entraîne une forte diminution des populations de certaines espèces. Cette situation nous préoccupe. C'est pourquoi nous encourageons l'inscription de certaines espèces depuis la COP18. Ce document complète parfaitement la mise en œuvre de la liste actuelle des concombres de mer. Nous remercions également les États-Unis d'avoir tenu compte de notre remarque sur l'absence des documents d'identification au sein de leurs documents. Et nous soutenons l'ensemble des décisions contenues dans ce document. Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, European Union. Fiji, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Fiji also would like to extend its appreciation to the United States for this document, this proposal. We can support the amendments as it strengthens reporting, monitoring, and data consolidation for CITES-listed sea cucumbers. It also clarifies the responsibility between the Secretariat, Parties, Animals Committee, and the Standing Committee. We also see that these amendments also focus on attention on CITES-listed species, as we had clearly reiterated yesterday in our interventions, on addressing transparency and implementation gaps. We also see that there is a focus on enhanced international cooperation, particularly with FAO. The proposed amendments also are closely aligned with Fiji's priorities on combating IUU fishings, strengthening scientific NDFs, regional support for Pacific seeds, improving trade chain traceability, and ensuring sustainability for inverted fisheries. Chair, if you would allow us, we do have some textual proposals for each of the decision, where we are also suggesting streamlining of the text. However, I can hold these comments until we go into the specific paragraphs, or however you suggest. If this should be submitted to United States bilaterally, I'm happy to introduce these suggestions on the floor as recommended, if recommended. Sorry, thank you.
Thank you, Fiji. I think it would be good if we hear them so that the room also gets a sense of where these changes would be going. So you have the floor and can introduce these changes.
Thank you, Chair. So for decision 20AA, subparagraph A1C, the current wording is slightly repetitive. So we would suggest the insertion of domestic legislation and related conservation, management, and enforcement measures for the 2 species as labeled included in the appendices. For subparagraph A2, there is a long phrasing on questions, concerns, or challenges. So we would suggest placing emphasis on them. So it would suggest reading, highlight any questions, concerns, or implementation challenges related to, or relating to rather, trade monitoring, enforcement capacity, or CITES implementation. The meaning is not changed, but it's more direct, so we would suggest these changes. On subparagraph...
Can you please read that out again? Sorry.
So on decision 20AA2, subparagraph A2, we would make it more direct by saying highlighting any questions, concerns, or implementation challenges relating to trade monitoring, enforcement capacity, or CITES implementation regarding international trade in sea cucumbers. Yes. Yeah, but taking out all this, I have identified in relation. So it's just more of a streamlined version of this text.
Fiji, just to be clear, have you been making these amendments on the Secretariat's amended the decisions because that's what the United States agreed on?
So I'm looking at page 7. Yes, the directed to Secretariat, you mean?
No, in the document, the Secretariat made amendments to the original decisions by the United States, and the United States said they would be in agreement with these. So could you please look at the amended decisions by the Secretariat that you find on the comments from the Secretariat and see if your amendments fit in there? Just to be clear that we are working on the same set of decisions.
Yeah, yes, Chair, it is the same. It's the document with the strikeouts, if I'm correct, and with the new insertions.
Yes, perfect, good.
So my suggestion is just a more streamlined version of these texts, as it does sound repetitive on some of the language. So I'm proposing a more direct language to get to this subject, if that's okay.
Thank you, Fiji. Yes, I think I would agree on these amendments because they make it more clear and streamlined, yes. Okay, so Fiji, can I ask you again just to read the whole amended text from 20AA A2
Thank you, Chair. It reads to highlight any questions, concerns, or implementation challenges relating to trade monitoring, enforcement capacity, and CITES implementation regarding international, and then everything else stays the same.
Okay, good. That's what we wanted to hear because we were not really sure if you had taken up the rest as well. So good, thank you.
Can I continue? Or?
You have more text?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
So subparagraph B. So here we are trying to seek clarity if the Secretariat is tasked with collating information and making it available. And if so is the case, then we suggest collate information received and make it available to the animals and standing committees within their respective mandates. But we do see the change in the text, and I think just the only wording.
Well, Fiji, I think here, I don't think this addition makes sense, because now it is clear that they collate the information to make it available for the participants of the technical workshop. So I think this is fine the way it is.
That's fine. And then our last suggestion is on C2.
Go ahead.
And so it reads, convene a technical workshop to review biological information and implementation challenges relating to CITES listed and the 2 species, including conservation priorities, management needs, and enforcement issues, and everything else remains the same. The reason why we are proposing this challenge is because the current iteration is very long and also very duplicative. We believe that all of these have been captured in the earlier sections of the paragraph. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiji, but I think your suggestion is still on the old decision, because the amended decision by the Secretariat reads, convene a technical workshop to present background documents and to consider the challenges associated with the implementation of CITES, including conservation priorities and so on. So I do think the way it is now, it is clearer.
Thank you, Chair. We agree. That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I give the floor to Tanzania. Tanzania, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. The United Republic of Tanzania commends the United States of America for preparing this important document on conservation and trade in sea cucumber, which highlights the ongoing efforts to conserve sea cucumber and propose actions to strengthen conservation and sustainable trade of sea cucumbers. Tanzania, as a range state to a number of sea cucumber species, supports the adoption of the draft decisions contained in Annex 1 to the present document, and amendments proposed by the Secretariat to ensure that the proposed interventions focuses on CITES listed species only. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Tanzania. Papua New Guinea.
Thank you, Chair. Papua New Guinea acknowledges the document submitted by United States and appreciates the continued global attention brought to the conservation and sustainable management of sea cucumbers. PNG says the consent highlighted as our country as one of the most commercially viable and heavily reliant on sea cucumber fishery in the Pacific. We recognize the increasing pressures from overharvesting, illegal trade, and the significant challenges of species identification and enforcement, especially for processed products. PNG is already advancing major national reforms, including modernization of sea cucumber management plan, development of NDF framework for Appendix 2 listed dead fish, ongoing stock assessment, surveys and review of survey methodology, strengthening harvest strategies, TSC monitoring, supply chain, awareness and enforcement activities targeting illegal harvesting and trade. PNG supports the overall intent of the document and provides the following position. PNG supports the draft decision directing the Secretariat to compile, update information from parties on NDFs, LAFs, management measures, SAGES, and quotas. This will help identify global gaps and strengthen collective action. 2, PNG strongly supports the proposed technical workshop to improve information, enforcement, species identification, and guidance to NDF development. This is critical for Pacific Island countries where data limitations and enforcement capacity remain major challenges. 3, PNG emphasized that national fisheries management, closed seasons, TACs, size limits, licensing and monitoring frameworks must remain under sovereign jurisdiction and be fully recognized in the implementation of CITES measures. 4th, PNG requests that the Secretariat and partners prioritize training in species identification, weight, and processed forms, support for developing LAFs and NDFs, strengthening enforcement against illegal cross-border trade, and assistance in improving reporting system. 5, PNG acknowledges the potential of aquaculture to reduce pressure on wild stocks. However, we highlight the need for guidance on broodstock collection, hatchery standards, and monitoring to prevent laundering of wild-caught specimens. 6, PNG supports the adoption of the draft decision in Annex 1, recognizing that they provide practical steps to enhance sustainable and legal trade in Stichopodidae, and Olothuridae species. Thank you, Chair. PNG stands ready to work with CITES, FAO, SPC, and all partners to ensure sustainable management and long-term recovery of sea cucumber resources for the benefit of our environment and coastal communities. Chair, I would like to propose the following amendments to draft decision. Recommendation 20AA, small letter C, Roman numeral 2. We would like to insert, which includes technical experts as well as members of range states, in the paragraph 12.61, 2, which says that convene a technical workshop, and then include this, which includes technical experts as well as members of range states, and all of the sentence remains the same. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think your addition makes sense. We have captured that. I have now Canada.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to the United States for this document. Canada supports these decisions with the amendments proposed by the Secretariat and supported by the United States, Fiji, Tanzania, and the most recent amendments just proposed. Thank you.
Thank you, Canada. Australia.
Thank you, Chair. We thank the US for this paper and support the amendments of the Secretariat. We also support the amendments of PNG, and we would like to make one minor amendment. I will read that out now. It relates to 20.ffb, and our proposal is to remove the words "the major" in the very first sentence of 20.ffb. So with that removed, it would say support exporting countries of CITES listed species, and so on. Our reason for requesting this removal is that we note many of our neighbours in Oceania, which have sea cucumber fisheries, would benefit from FAO's support to address CITES implementation challenges. We feel this minor amendment proposed will still result in improved understanding and implementation of CITES listed sea cucumbers and is mindful of workloads and budget challenges. Thank you.
Thank you. We captured that. Thank you very much. Now I have India.
Thank you, Chair. India thanks the United States of America for CoP20 Doc 90. In India, all species of class Holothuridae are listed in Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972 and accords them high degree of protection. India supports the draft decision 20.AA contained in Annex 1 to the CoP20 Doc 90 and would also suggest that the parties needs to take adequate measures for control of illegal trade of these species. India, however, wishes to caution the additional burden of reporting to the Secretariat on each species-wise details in addition to sharing the NDFs and annual trade report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, India. Fiji.
Sorry, Chair, for coming back. I just wanted to seek clarity if we can also comment on 20DD, which is the direction to the standing committee.
Thank you, Fiji. That's part of our discussion. Yes, you can.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. So in 20DD, again, we do understand the standard mandate and the reinforcing clause, but I would just seek your clarity and guidance here as well, Chair. If we need to streamline this, could we say that the standing committee shall review or shall consider the outcomes of decision 20AA and 20CC and other relevant information made available, and develop recommendations, within its mandate? I seek to understand why we are, repeating the information that will be made to standing committee thereafter. So everything else remains the same. It's just if we are going to consider the results of the activities, or will we review, consider the outcomes of the decisions? And our suggestion is to put outcomes of decisions 20AA and 20CC.
Fiji, I don't think that the standing committee will only look at the results of that workshop. They also will consider other relevant information that is being made available to them. So we want to keep that open to make sure that the standing committee can make the recommendations based on the most complete set of information that they are having. That's why we are putting that in there. We're having technical problems with Fiji, apparently, I see. So with this, I think we will come back to Fiji, and I open the floor to Japan.
Thank you, Chair. And Japan would like to thank the US for preparing the document for the conservation of the species, which are very important for the range states of the species, including Pacific Island countries. Japan notes at COP16, parties agreed that range state of sea cucumber species sustainably manage their sea cucumber fisheries, taking into account the status of the stocks, the nature and scale of the fishery, and the use of sea cucumbers, as well as social, economic, and historical factors specific to their region. And Japan would like to support the amendment proposed by the Secretariat to limit their scope to CITES listed species only, And also Japan also supports the amendment made by the Fiji on the first statement, and also PNG and Australia. In addition, we have a very minor amendment in the draft decisions. So regarding the draft decision 20CC and 20DD, Japan proposed amendment to the phrase of sustainable and legal trade to change sustainable and legal international trade. So simply adding international between the words legal and trade, because the CITES is a convention to regulate international trade. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Japan, for this clarification. Now I have China. China, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for the United States preparing the document. China agrees with the proposed amendments of PNG and Australia on technical matters. However, China agrees with the Secretariat's amendments to the draft. China reiterates our position that the decision should focus on the species included in the CITES appendix only. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, China. European Union.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. J'avais oublié d'effectivement notifier que nous supportons les modifications faites par le secrétariat, mais ce n'est pas la raison pour laquelle je prends la parole maintenant. C'est que je suis sur la version française qui passe directement de la 20AA à la 20FF. Donc la version française qui est actuellement en téléchargement sur le secrétariat, il semble y manquer un gros morceau. Merci.
Okay.
Yes, I confirm I checked the French version.
Yes, European Union. In the comments of the Secretariat, they only made changes to AA and they added FF. They left BB, CC, DD, EE, they left them untouched. That's why in the amended decisions of the Secretariat, in their comments, you will only find AA and FF. The others remain as in the original proposal. European Union.
Oui, merci. Toutes mes excuses, c'est effectivement un problème technique de mon ordinateur et pas du document. Je m'en excuse platement.
Pas de souci. Now I have Iran.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Iran supports the amendment made by the Secretariat. Thank you.
Before returning to Fiji, I have Saudi Arabia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. We would like to thank the United States for preparing this document, and we support the additional amendments that made by the Secretariat, which make the decisions limited to CITES listed species, and we would like this to be reflected on all decisions and in the original text, because we believe that we still have some parts of 20cc and others which is not limited to CITES listed species. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Saudi Arabia. I think it's not needed there because the work that is being put to the Animals Committee and the Standing Committee is the work that is restricted to CITES listed species. So they will only be able to look at what is being presented to them, and that is going to be limited to CITES listed species. So I don't think we need to add this again for the Scientific Committee. Okay. Now I have Fiji. Fiji, can you please take the floor?
Thank you, Chair. I'll just be very brief. Firstly, thank you for clarifying that. And we do agree with you that, yes, they should have access to all other relevant information available. So for the purposes of just understanding, and also I would like to say that English is not our first language, so we do stand guided if you suggest otherwise, sir. We do think that shall consider the results of activities under decisions 20AA and 20CC is great, but we would like to focus on the outcomes of these activities, right? So if we would say consider the outcomes under decisions 20AA and 20CC, and then instead of saying making its own recommendations, it tends to also say what are you going to do with these recommendations and for who. So I think it's within their mandate to develop recommendations, so I would be comfortable if other parties are happy with saying and develop recommendations within its mandate. So just the two very slight textual proposals just to make it more clear and ease for communication to also others. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiji. I think that sounds good. So we will have the Standing Committee shall consider the outcomes under decisions 20A and 20CC and other relevant information available to the Standing Committee and develop recommendations within its mandate and so on. So I think that sounds good. Saudi Arabia.
Sorry to take the floor again, Mr. Chair, but as I mentioned before, even 20DD directed to the Standing Committee to ensure the sustainable and legal trade in not only the CITES listed species. So this is what I meant, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I hadn't seen that. I only had looked at the Scientific Committee. Sorry. So we'll make that amendment to make sure it is restricted to CITES listed species. Thank you very much for spotting that. I think the United States mentioned in their intervention that they also had some edits to do, but I'm not quite sure if they are now all covered or if you still want to make them. United States, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, for having the floor again. I also just want to note that as a range state who also has compact responsibilities with island range states in the Pacific, the United States welcomes the edits from Papua New Guinea, Australia, and Fiji, and the clarifying amendments from Japan and Saudi Arabia. We had two potential typos, mainly missing or perhaps incorrect words. In 20AAD, in the Secretariat's amendments, it states submit to collated responses, and we believe it should be submit the collated responses. So instead of to, it should be the. And in 20FF, subparagraph A, it states share information on conservation and management related work carried out by the organization that is relevant to Stickopodidae and Holothuridae. We believe it makes more sense for it to read related to Stickopodidae and Holothuridae instead of relevant. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I think these are effectively typos, so thank you for them. So seeing nobody else asking for the floor, so I think the conclusion is that the committee agrees to the decisions contained in document 90 on the conservation of and trade in sea cucumbers, contained in as amended by the Secretariat and in the committee by Fiji, Papua New Guinea, Australia, Japan, and Saudi Arabia. Okay, thank you very much. So we have finished with this document. Now let me quickly think. Now I would like to open the floor to IGOs and NGOs to comment on this document. Thank you. I have FAO.
Thank you, Chair. FAO would like to inform parties that it recently upgraded its commercially important sea cucumber of the world identification guide, which now has information on 84 species of sea cucumber that are commonly or opportunistically exploited. Further, to respond to Papua New Guinea's intervention, FAO would like to also share with the parties that FAO has just completed collecting information on the historical development of sea cucumber farming, a report that will be published in early 2026. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, FAO. Center for Biological Diversity.
Thank you, Chair. We make this intervention on behalf of several organizations. We will submit those names to the Secretary. We thank the United States for presenting this important document. As the parties has recognized, by including 7 species of sea cucumbers in Appendix 2 over the last 3 COPs, many sea cucumbers are highly vulnerable to overexploitations due to their life histories, density-dependent reproduction, and ease of collection. It is also clear from parties' discussions of the proposal yesterday that sea cucumber fishing is economically vital for many regions, yet illegal under-regulated fishing threatens fisheries sustainability in some areas. Decision 90 addresses core gaps in sea cucumber conservation, including identification issues, biological information to make NDFs, and capacity building. However, we note with concern that the Secretary recommends limiting this work only to current CITES listed species. Given the broad vulnerability of many unlisted sea cucumbers and the clear evidence presented at this COP, a more extensive approach is urgently needed. We therefore urge parties to ensure that this decision explicitly allows consideration of other sea cucumber species of conservation concern, not only already listed in the appendices. Broadening the scope of this work is essential to identify additional taxa that may require international protection soon. We encourage parties to support this decision with that expanded scope and to provide funding for the proposed workshop. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So with this, I don't think we will open another proposal, because I think these next proposals that we had on our agenda today, they will need more time than we have at our hands. So do we have any housekeeping announcements? Yes. Yes, we do. So I will give the floor to the Secretariat.
Thank you, Chair. We would like to remind participants to please leave the headset and receivers on your desk, and please do not take it with you when you leave to the hotel. If you may have taken some, please return them tomorrow. A reminder again that there will be a fire drill tomorrow early in the morning before the regional meetings. And as we indicated this morning, you will have to evacuate if that happens. And there might also be public announcements relating to the fire drill. Then the participants, I understand that the group photo for Baeza students didn't quite work out because of the late session committee 2. So tomorrow, on Saturday, 30th of November at 1:45, we invite all the students and lecturers to gather at the little podium here before you enter Committee 1. There's a podium there, so a photo will be taken there just before the start of the afternoon session. So 1:45 tomorrow at the podium before you enter Committee 1. And then there was the ETIS categorization working group was supposed to meet this evening, but the ETIS categorization working group will meet tomorrow from 5 to 6:30 in Blackstock. And a quick reminder that the Poor Brasilia working group will be meeting now in Blackstock. I think that's it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Secretariat. So with this, I adjourn our session. So see you tomorrow morning. Have a good night's rest and eat well. Thank you.